I've never liked holiday parties. Not because I'm a Scrooge or some antisocial stiff. No, I can work a room just fine. But forced cheer and fake small talk with people who spend the other 364 days trying to outsell each other? That's not my flavor of eggnog. Still, there I was. Corner of the ballroom at the Overland Regency, a 3-star hotel that thought it was 5, sipping some overpriced Cabernet and watching the night unfold like a slow-motion car crash. Carter. Realty's Christmas parties had a reputation. Not wild, not exactly elegant, but suggestive. Polished smiles, loose ties, and just enough booze to make people think they were charming. This year's theme? A night to celebrate excellence, which roughly translates to, let's all pretend Tyler Ransom actually does something. Tyler, of course, was the center of attention, buttoned up in a tux that looked like it had an Instagram account. He's the son of the founder, and if he ever sold a house in his life, I've yet to see the listing. But the guy knew how to brand himself. Slicked back hair, a Rolex he wore like a personality trait, and a talent for talking just long enough to sound important. And then there was Lena. My wife stepped out of our hotel room 30 minutes late, fashionably, she claimed, in a black dress that should have been illegal on a schoolteacher's salary. Tied in all the places that mattered, with just enough shimmer to catch every damn eye in the room. Including mine. Especially mine. You know that moment in movies where the music drops out and everything slows down? That happened. Except the music kept blaring and I had to elbow Ben, my little brother, who'd been dumb enough to whistle. Shut it, I muttered, but I couldn't blame him. Lena looked like trouble served on a silver tray. She kissed my cheek, smiled sweetly, and looped her arm through mine. You wore the boring tie, she said, and you wore the dress that's going to ruin someone's marriage? Let's hope it's not ours, she replied, laughing. For the first hour, things were mostly fine. Speeches, polite clapping, someone from accounting passed out near the Shrimp Tower. I even got an award. Top performer, 17 years strong. Tyler handed it to me like it burned his hand. You're the backbone of the company, Marcus, he said, gripping my shoulder too long. Funny, I thought that was you, I said. I smiled. He didn't. Later, I was talking to Ellen, longest-serving employee in the office and unofficial keeper of secrets, when she leaned in and whispered, Your wife's making waves tonight. I glanced across the room. Lena was talking to Karen Ransom, Tyler's wife, who looked like she'd rather be drinking bleach than making small talk. Then Tyler slid into the conversation, hand on Lena's back like he'd earned the right. Too friendly, Ellen said, reading my face. Too polished, I replied, draining my glass. Like a man who's practiced. I should have let it go. But I didn't. Near the dance floor, I watched him spin her around, hand low, smile higher. His palm settled on her waist, just a breath too close to her hip. She didn't pull away. That was the part that stuck. She didn't pull away. After the second drink, I told myself I was imagining it. After the third, I told myself I didn't. I care a lot, apparently. Around 10:30, I headed to the coat room, half tempted to vanish without the obligatory group photo. That's when I heard it. Voices behind the wall of down jackets and fur. I'm just saying, Tyler murmured, his voice low but cocky. Marcus makes good money here. I'd hate to see that change. Silence. Then Lena. What are you implying? Not implying? Offering, he said. Discreet dinners, late meetings. That dress tells me you understand the game. I should have walked in, punched him, said something, but I stayed frozen, watching shadows stretch across winter coats. I saw a hand, his, reach for her back. Not her waist this time. Higher. She didn't step back. I need to think, she said. Not, no, not you're insane, just I need to think. She left first, heels clicking like accusations. Tyler stayed a moment, probably adjusting his smirk in someone's mink. I walked back into the ballroom, handed my award to Ben without a word, and spent the rest of the night wondering if 17 years in this company, and 15 with Lena, had made me blind or just stupid. People say marriages are tested by distance or time or tragedy. Mine started unraveling somewhere between a catered shrimp tower and a whisper behind winter coats, and I wasn't even sure who was holding the thread. The holidays rolled in like they always do, full of forced cheer, overeating, and more time around family than any sane person wants. I tried to act normal, and Lena, she was perfect. Too perfect. Gift wrapping at midnight with jazz in the background, cocoa with the tiny marshmallows I always pretend not to like, candlelit dinners, soft hands on my neck, long glances that said, "I love you and don't ask all at once." She made my favorite. Meals, laughed at my dumb jokes, even turned the TV off when I talked. That's love in our house. But what really messed with my head wasn't what she did during the day. It was what she did at night. The sex was different. Not just better, intentional. Like she was apologizing for something without using words, and I kept telling myself, it was all in my head, but that didn't stop me from watching her sleep like a man watching a locked safe and wondering what's inside. Then, 2 weeks after the party, I got the invite from Tyler. Business seminar in Austin. Overnight stay. First-class ticket. All expenses covered. Let's build something exciting together, his email read. Yeah. Exciting. I stared at it for a long time, then showed it to Lena. She glanced once, smiled like it was no big deal, and said, "Sounds like a good opportunity." That was the first. Red flag. My wife, the one who asks where I'm going when I step out for milk, didn't even blink at the idea of me flying out overnight with the guy who tried to slide his hand under her dress. I tested the waters. You sure you'll be okay without me? She shrugged. It's one night. No questions. No hesitation. Like she already knew the answer. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't being sent to Austin. I was being sent away. It was a Tuesday night when I got my confirmation. I came home earlier than usual, skipped the gym, walked in quietly. Lena was on the phone in the kitchen, her back to me, voice low. "I don't know, Tyler," she said. "I'm not that kind of woman." Pause. "I'm just saying, if I do this, it's once. That's it. One time, then we're done." I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stood there in the hallway, staring at our stupid framed canvas that said, "Home is where the heart is," wondering how many couples had said the same thing before torching everything. When she hung up, I stepped into the room like nothing happened. She turned, smiled, and I saw the tiniest flinch in her eyes. It was gone in a blink, but it was there. That night, she wore the black dress again. "To dinner with friends," she said. Said she wanted to feel pretty. I didn't ask why. The dress that made half the office sweat suddenly felt appropriate for Taco Tuesday. I didn't go. Said I had work. I stayed home, poured a bourbon, and stared at the spot on the couch where we first kissed after moving in. The cushion was faded, a little sunken, just like us. Later that night, I went into the closet and pulled out a dusty cardboard box labeled Marcus Old Suits. Inside, under a mothball-scented blazer, was something I hadn't touched in years. My dad's old voice recorder, heavy, analog, still worked. I placed it on the dresser and sat on the edge of the bed. See? Tyler thought he was setting the game board, thought he was the one sliding the pieces. But he forgot something. I've been selling houses for 17 years. That means I've seen lies dressed as listings, smiles sharper than locks, and contracts that ruin people's lives in fine print. I can smell a setup the moment I walk through the front door. And this one reeked of desperation. The morning of the Austin trip, I shaved extra close. Wore my oldest blazer, the one with worn elbows and a pen mark on the inside pocket. Not because I cared what I looked like, but because that's what Tyler expected from me. A tired old company man, headed for a seminar he'd never come back from. Lena kissed me goodbye. Soft, deliberate. The kind of kiss you give someone you're afraid will ask questions. Her hands were steady, but her eyes were scanning for cracks in my smile. "You packed your toothbrush?" she asked. I almost laughed. Wouldn't want bad breath to ruin my career. At 7:40 a.m., I ordered a rideshare to the airport. Got in, waved to the doorman like I'd be gone for a week. At 7:55, I stepped into the departures hall, scanned my boarding pass, then walked right out the other side, back in another car. New driver. No destination listed. Just drive. He looked confused, but the tip was generous enough to keep him quiet. At 8:45, I was sitting in a diner on the far side of town with Ellen McGrath across from me, stirring sugar into her coffee. "Like a villain in a slow-burn thriller. I still don't understand why you trust me with this," she said. "Because you've been here longer than anyone, and you've watched Tyler walk around this place like he invented real estate. You don't like him either." "That's true," she said, sipping. "But blackmail setups and bedroom theatrics? This isn't exactly HR friendly." "It's not friendly at all, that's the point. The plan was simple, messy, but simple. While Tyler thought I was airborne, Ellen would hand-deliver a note to his office. A note written in Lena's handwriting, copied from a birthday card she once gave me. I still had it. I knew the loops of her L's better than most men know their wives' favorite songs. The note read, "Don't call. Just come. The house will be quiet at 8:30. You know which door." I slipped back home around noon. Changed clothes, took a shower, stared at my own reflection until it started looking like someone else. At 6:00, I ordered takeout from the place. Lena always said was too greasy for dinner. Chicken parm, garlic knots, 2 cannolis, her favorites. Set them on the table like bait. At 6:40, I heard our kids giggling down the stairs, their overnight bags in hand. Lena said they were going to her mom's for a sleepover. She said it with the same voice she uses when she lies about how much wine she had with the neighbors. I waved goodbye from the kitchen window. At 7:15, the house was quiet. No music, no TV, just me. In our bedroom, shirt off. Lights dimmed. At 8:29, I slipped under the sheets. I don't know what I expected. Anger, guilt, a confession. Maybe nothing. What I got was a silhouette in the doorway, a woman in heels, same perfume Lena wore at the Christmas party. She didn't say a word, just stepped out of her coat, climbed onto the bed, and kissed me like a secret. And I let her. It wasn't love. It wasn't hate. It was something in between. A storm that needed somewhere to land. I didn't ask her name. The room was dark. The sheets were warm, and everything smelled like betrayal and rosemary. When it was over, she rolled off me and turned on the lamp. And that's when I realized, this woman wasn't my wife. "Karen?" I said, breathless. She smiled. "I thought you'd catch on sooner." Before I could speak again, the door burst open. Tyler. Red in the face, tie half loosened. He looked like a man expecting one ending and getting another. Right behind him came Lena, calm, composed, and then Ben, my brother, looking like he'd been waiting years to hit someone legally. "You bastard," Tyler hissed, stepping forward. Ben stepped between us. "Don't." "What the hell is this?" I asked, still trying to catch up. Lena exhaled slowly. "A trap," she said. "Karen and I planned it. After the Christmas party, I knew you overheard. I had to be sure you'd act. And you did, Karen." Grabbed a robe and wrapped it around herself like a war medal. "He's done this before. Different cities, different women, always subtle, always deniable." Tyler tried to speak. Lena shut him down. "You offered me a deal, Tyler. My husband's career in exchange for a few nights of your company? You think women don't talk? You think your wife hasn't known?" Ben stepped forward, hand on Tyler's chest. "You should Go before I remember what you said about my brother last year at the retreat. Tyler left. No fight, no threats. Just a man undone by people he thought were too polite to fight back. When it was just the four of us, Karen sat on the edge of the bed. "I'll call my lawyer in the morning," she said, almost cheerfully. "But tonight, I needed to see the look on his face." Lena looked at me. No anger, no judgment, just understanding. "I never touched him," she said softly. "I didn't want to. But I had to know you were still with me, that you wouldn't let this house go without a fight." I didn't answer. I just reached for her hand. Outside, snow started falling, and somewhere in the dark, Tyler's empire began to crack. The morning after was quiet, the kind of quiet you only get after a storm. Not peace, not relief, just a pause, like the house was holding its breath, waiting to see who we were now. I woke up alone. Sheets cold beside me, windows fogged, and the faint scent of Karen's perfume still lingering like a bad decision that hadn't left the room yet. Lena was in the kitchen, barefoot, robe wrapped tight, flipping pancakes like it was any other Saturday. She didn't look up when I walked in, just slid a plate onto the table and said, "Still like 'em with cinnamon?" I sat, nodded. "Always." A beat passed, then another. Finally, she said it. "I knew you'd be angry. I just didn't know if you'd do anything with it." I didn't answer. I was still chewing, and not just the pancake. She sat across from me, eyes steady. "Karen came to me 2 weeks ago, said Tyler had done the same thing to a friend of hers back in Miami. Same move, same pressure, same promises. We decided if he was going to try it again, we'd make sure this time it bit back." "And the setup?" I asked. "The note, the bedroom, the performance?" Her eyes flicked up. "You were never supposed to sleep with her." "Neither of us planned that part," came a voice from the doorway. Karen, hair tied up, wearing one of Lena's sweaters like it was nothing. She poured herself coffee. No shame, no apology. Just another Tuesday. "I knew he'd follow me," she said. "He always does. But this time I wanted him to catch something. He couldn't spin." She turned to me. "And for what it's worth, Marcus, you're a better liar than I expected." Lena smiled. Not out of jealousy, but pride. Like she was proud I'd survived a test I didn't study for. I leaned back. "So what now?" "Now?" Lena said. "You resign." I blinked. "From Carter Realty?" She nodded. "You think you're staying after that?" "No. But you're not being pushed out. You're stepping out. On your terms." It didn't take long. That afternoon, I walked into the office, handed my resignation to HR, and skipped the polite farewell emails. Tyler was still out on personal leave, which in corporate terms usually means lawyered up, silenced, and halfway canceled. The board, smelling blood and lawsuits, moved fast. The founder, old Mr. Ransom himself, stepped back in within 72 hours. Ellen called me the next week. "You started a war, Blair." "No," I said. "I just made sure the right guy got caught bringing matches to a fireworks factory. I took a new offer with Westbridge Realty. Better commission, better people. No sons of owners trying to buy my wife's loyalty with dinner reservations and innuendos. As for Lena and me, we didn't fix everything overnight. You don't glue glass back together without noticing the cracks. But we talked more, ate together more, laughed more. And when we made love again, it wasn't out of guilt or confusion. It was real. One night, maybe a week later, I was chopping vegetables in the kitchen. Lena came up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist, and rested her head on my back. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." "When you thought I was sleeping with him, did it turn you on?" I turned, knife still in hand, eyebrow raised. "That's a hell of a question to ask while I'm holding a blade," she smirked. "Just curious." I put the knife down, pulled her close. Only for a second, and only because I knew how the story ended. Oh, yeah? She whispered. Yeah, I said, brushing her hair behind her ear. Because in the end, you were still mine. She kissed me. Slow. Sure. And just like that, I realized something. Trust isn't built in the easy years. It's built in the moments you both consider walking away and choose not to. It's built in traps, setups, pancakes, and people who know your worst thoughts and still come back to bed.